So far, I've given you summaries in this module regarding several Shakespearean plays, and that was a bonus to you, but you will have to read those. The further summaries that I'm going to give are going to be much less extensive. They'll be more brief, and we'll try to hit on the points that you need to remember for the exam. This does not mean, though, that these details are the only details that you need to know about these works. I'm going to remind you of this as we go throughout. I want you to be interested and know enough about the works that we're talking about so that you can identify them when you go forward and look forward to read them on your own. So let's begin with this one, The Faerie Queene. I know you know this already because we've mentioned it a couple times already. It's an epic poem written by Edmund Spenser in the 17th century. It was never completed. It was written and divided into 6 books. You'll remember what an epic poem is, right? Epic poem is a really long poem that's a narrative. A narrative tells a story, which means it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Each book in The Faerie Queene focuses on a different virtue by telling a story of a different knight and the quest he must complete. For example, one book features the Red Cross Knight and Gloriana. It stands as a strong religious and political commentary and was a great compliment to Queen Elizabeth for 2 reasons. Number 1, as you remember in history, Queen Elizabeth established the Protestant Church in England, and the Faerie Queene favors the ideals over Protestantism over Catholicism. Secondly, the Faerie Queene contends that Queen Elizabeth is in the line of King Arthur. Now you'll remember when we went over the King Arthur unit that he is considered the now and future king of England. He is always awaited to return back to England to regain his throne. So Queen Elizabeth, being claimed as part of that lineage, established her throne even more in the history of England. Now you see how literature is so tied to history and the events, so similar to the way that we discuss plot, that the plot and the setting are so tied together because a story can't just take place anywhere. Similarly, work is not written in a vacuum. And as we go through the literary periods, you begin to see the changes of how literature has evolved, and very specifically, how it has revolved in reaction and response to changing historical, cultural, social, and political events. I'd like now to give you an excerpt from The Faerie Queene. So proud she shined in her princely state, looking to heaven, for earth she did disdain, and sitting high, for lowly she did hate. Lo, underneath her scornful feet was lain a dreadful dragon with a hideous train, and in her hand she held a mirror bright, wherein her face she often viewed fain, and in her self-loved semblance took delight, for she was wondrous fair as any living wight. Remember that you will have to review the lectures several times, review the readings, understand and memorize the summaries that I give you, but you are really responsible for going out and finding these readings on your own so that you can have your own tactile memory of engaging with them. Remember, this isn't just for the exam. This is going to grow you. This literature is important for a reason. And after you've done enough study and you feel like you're ready to do some study questions, please do so after each unit. And don't get discouraged if you don't get the right answers right away. Learning takes time. Have patience with yourself and encourage yourself.